What's up, guys? This is Touchline, the podcast for Torn by Sports. I'm Brett. This is Rich,
What's up, guys?
and finally was able to find somebody to join in, and it's awesome. So thanks for joining.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be asked back after this.
Uh, the list is kind of long, as you can tell. So, want to jump into the Diamond Cup?
Yeah, let's talk about it. RSL won the Desert Diamond Cup, beating our quote unquote rival, Colorado. It's kind of a crazy game, a little bit chippy.
Hopefully, the first of many titles this year.
That's right, and several wins against Colorado, right?
Yeah, it's always fun to beat Colorado.
Hasn't been too hard up until recently.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Looking over, like I told you before, we control a lot of the Desert Diamond Cup, but something that stands out is in the 3 games that we played going into the finals, we won all 3 games and only allowed 2 goals, and it's kind of awesome.
Yeah, and a lot of those had, a pretty heavy dose of our quote unquote, B squad. The first game and the third game, the third game was all reserves pretty much the whole game. So, that's really, really cool to see those guys lock it down.
Yeah, and also something else, I mean, like I said, I'm just sitting here looking at spreadsheets and box scores and stuff like that, but it looks like Devin Sandoval has stepped up and realizes he might be a guy for the future for this team.
Yeah, I was really impressed during the games, and I think he's always been kind of this way. He's not great in the air like Sabo necessarily, but I think he's really good at holding the ball. If you pass it into him, he'll hold it and pass it back to the midfield, like a hold-up target striker should. And he did a great job with that, I think, during preseason of, getting midfielders involved and holding the ball up. So I'm really excited to see his growth because last year I think he kind of, I don't know, was up and down a little bit, didn't get a lot of chances.
Yeah, that's what I always thought of him when I first started seeing him play with RSL is he's a clone of Sabo. They both just love to get in there and just cause havoc and be physical. They're not going to go up for balls, but if you can get it to their feet, they'll take care of it.
Yeah, I mean, if we could just get Sandoval to jump a little bit higher like Sabo does, use his head a little better, then that'd be great. But Sandoval, I mean, he's getting there. I think he grew a lot in this preseason.
Yeah. Well, from the looks of it, also they're going to change formations, and so that might be able to allow him to play a more crucial role because we have a lot of strikers on the roster, a lot.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, if we stick with the 3-3-3, or sorry, 4-3-3 with the 3 strikers. When Sabo is unavailable, or if they want to give him a break, if they move Jaime over to the center spot, which I guess he's played before, or if they leave him out wide and put Sandoval in the middle. I guess it depends on whether Plata's back or not, but. I think Sandoval would be a great person to, just slide in there in place of Sabo. So, be interesting to see how that, how the formation works with those guys.
So, was there one guy to you that stood out more than anything during the Cup?
I noticed that both Garcia and Jaime, in the offense were kind of a lot more involved than you would see them last year. I think last year Jaime would show, his quality, off and on during games, and he was still getting acclimated, right? But and then Garcia, a lot of times I thought was really reactionary, right? He would wait for his teammates to kick the ball and then he would chase it, right?
Yeah.
I would always kind of get frustrated with him, when he would just stand and wait for the ball, rather than Plata, is always running in channels trying to get it. But It seemed like this preseason, both of them were a lot more active, kind of linking up with the midfield and both coming back to track back on defense to help out. And so I was impressed with them. A lot of people have been talking about DeMar Phillips and how exciting he is. Uh, Gil had some great skill checks, as Dunny would say.
Hmm.
Uh, Trying to pass it around guys. It was really interesting to see in the attack how all those guys came together. So
Yeah.
it was a good season or a good preseason, I thought.
I also think what's going to be nice for them is if they do play like Plata and Sabo and Jaime all together, that most of them, well, yeah, even Argentina, all of them speak Spanish, and so those guys you're not going to have that. I can't think of
Like
the word.
a language barrier.
Yeah, all guys are going to know how to interact with each other, and so I think that's helping Jaime probably a lot better coming into this team than you'd expect. Because even when he came in, he was still, I mean, didn't get goals, but some of the stuff you were seeing that he was doing outside of a stat sheet, he was amazing, and you could see all the potential there with him. And so I think that culture that's already been put in place is just going to help this team, especially changing to a formation that guys like Beckerman and Javier and Gil have been used to for the dawn of time.
Right. Yeah, I think the whole key to this formation is going to be how Jaime and Garcia and Javi and Gil, how they track back, right? If those
Hmm.
guys are all committed and on the same page, if we turn the ball over or we're defending, if those guys are all on the same page, then I think it's going to be just great. But with only the three in the midfield, we don't. Beckerman's awesome, but he can only stop so much. So
Yeah,
uh, if we're getting overrun all the time, it'll be because those guys probably aren't tracking back. So I think that'll be the key. Offensively, it seems already that Javi's on the same page with everybody.
so, in your opinion, which one do you like better? Do you like the diamond or the 4-3-3?
Well, I think based on the players we have, I mean, I think you kind of have to use the 4-3-3 with all the forwards and with Javi and Gil, you want to get all those guys on the field. If you took out if you went back to the diamond, then you're sitting either Jaime or Plata, right?
Yeah,
And I think it behooves RSL to get both those guys on the field. So I think we're used to the diamond, and so I think because people are afraid to change sometimes, we want to stick with that. But if we can get the 4-3-3, learn that as well as everyone got used to the diamond, I think it could be really great.
yeah. I mean, and as it sits right now, we have 5 guys right now that are scheduled as forwards, but I'd even go as far as saying 6. I think Gil could jump up there and play that forward position. So I think the 4-3-3 gives you the option that if some of these guys do go down, you can move a guy like Gil up, and you still have Beckerman, Morales, and Mulholland playing in the middle.
Well, I even think Allen, he can play one of the winger spots easily. Phillips, they said he plays fullback, but he's good either on the midfield spot or as a winger. So with how much he likes to attack in a pinch, him. Well, I guess Mansally too. With all the time he spent forward in New England, you could put him in as a winger in a pinch. In the past, a lot of our forwards weren't really like winger style forwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that makes the 4-3-3 hard if you don't have the right type. But Plata, Garcia, Jaime to an extent, although I think he'd probably be better like in a two forward system. But I mean, he's used to being a winger, so he knows what to do. So I think it'll be good.
Well, not only that, I mean, I expect him to start out with the Real Monarchs, but you got Sebastian Salcedo who's coming up from the
Yeah.
academy who could also play that position. But like I said, I think he'll be more in the Monarchs for the first little while.
Yeah, he had a really good preseason too. The time he was on the field, he's definitely not scared to take people on with the ball.
Hmm.
So that'll be interesting to see how he develops as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's just my guess. I think that Cesar was just he ran the diamond last year just because the players were already in place, and
Yeah,
he knew that there was an expansion draft coming in, depending on what went on there, that he might be able to get away starting to run his formation and running the team his style. So I think this year's the first time you're actually going to see him his stamp on the team.
sure. I was reading something recently that I hadn't heard before, but when we play the 4-3-3 in the past, someone wrote that a lot of times it was Kassar who was kind of like you know encouraging that,
Mm-hmm.
when we would switch from the diamond to play the 4-3-3 sometimes. I don't know how true that is, but I guess that's interesting if that is true.
Yeah.
Before with Wingert too, as a fullback, he's not really a overlapping attacking fullback,
Mm-hmm.
so that limits your 4-3-3 effectiveness a little bit if you're not going to have your fullbacks really, kind of engage in the offense.
Yep. Yep. And so as we change subjects, you're a RSL season ticket holder.
Yes.
Is there any games on the schedule that stand out to you that you look at and have you excited for?
Well, I
You
mean,
know,
it's obviously going to be exciting to have both Orlando and New York,
yeah,
right?
probably
NYCFC come to town.
probably New York more than Orlando just because of history reasons.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be really interesting with all the ex RSL players. I mean, he's got half his team is ex RSL players. It seems like,
Mm-hmm.
plus the coach, Kreis, plus it being Man City's offspring, right? It's going to make for a pretty fun game. The Toronto game last year, was supposed to be like the game of the year, right? Where we
Yeah,
had Defoe and Bradley, and it was supposed to be these two, heavyweights, and then we just stomped them, uh, which was
smack them
fun,
around a little bit.
right? Right. That game was pretty fun to be at. It'll be interesting to see this year with Bradley, having some more MLS or getting reacclimated to MLS, and then getting
Mm-hmm.
Altidore in there, and their new Plata stand-in. What's Giovinco? Is that his name?
Yeah,
From Italy. It'll be interesting to see, what those guys are like.
LA should also be a good one. I mean, you always look towards that, but they got rid of. Well, they didn't get rid of him. He retired, but Landon Donovan leaves, and they kind of just reload with Steven Gerrard. So that's a team
Right?
full of international talent. So that's always fun.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Gerard isn't coming till the summer. Is that right? If I remember right.
I believe so.
I know we play them once in May. So well, we two of the times we play them are in May. So we're gonna miss Gerard. I'm trying to see. Do we play them a third time? I should know this. Doesn't look like it. We only play LA twice. No, there's a third time in September.
Hmm.
So we only get to see Gerard once. So it'll be here.
Yeah, I mean that's also like when they signed David Beckham. My brother was an LA fan before they even signed him, and he's also a Beckham fan. And when they signed him, he freaked out, and we went and bought tickets. And first ever RSL game I ever been to, and um, he got injured the game before Salt Lake, and so he sat up in the press boxes, and my brother was just mad the entire game. It was awesome. So
That's really funny. If we can bring in, new fans by having some of these guys, like I'm not as opposed to, some of these guys like Lampard and Gerrard coming over. I mean, clearly Lampard can still play. I mean, he's, one of Man City's best substitutes,
yep,
right?
yep,
Some of these guys who come over who, just can't play anymore, that are just, cashing them checks. Uh, those guys I have a problem with. And, we'll see when Gerard gets over here. And Kaká seems to be still playing at a high level. So, I mean, that's exciting. And that gets some of the world fans to follow MLS. I mean, that's all good.
Yeah. Also, what's nice to see about this schedule is Plata's schedule will be back end of April, roughly. And so he's only going to miss 7 games.
Yeah.
And they're exactly not. I mean, that Toronto game and Sporting KC is probably the toughest in that stretch. Because you're not entirely sure how healthy Portland's going to be.
Yeah, they have tons of injuries right now. We'll get to that, I guess, here in a minute. But
everybody's got injuries.
Yeah. And what are there a specific game that you're excited to see besides NYC?
Usually there's one that stands out, but I can't ever figure it out until the season starts, and it's usually about the time a team starts getting hot.
Yeah, I mean, always, the Portland, Seattle, LA games. I mean, those are always fun regardless.
I think the one that I want to. Mine's mostly October. I want to see, September through October, because that's a lot of playoff teams, and I want to see how we react down the stretch against playoff teams. So I think I can't tell you one specific match. I think it's that time frame of scheduling, just because we'll finish out the season against a lot of playoff teams.
Yeah.
But that's even if we get a season.
Yeah, they may not start on time, I guess we could say. So,
yeah.
Our upcoming game this week is Portland. I'm really excited about. I know there's a lot of RSL fans who bought tickets. They're going to go up there, and they may be disappointed, I guess, once they get there. But do you want to talk about Portland for just a minute?
Yeah, let's break down Portland
before we rain the sad cloud on the first game of the season.
Yeah, before we ruin the mood here.
Yeah. So Portland got Porter Ball, Will Johnson. Our good buddy Will Johnson. He's still out with a busted leg. Valeri's out with an ACL. His backup, or Will's backup, Zemansky's out with an ACL. I guess Diego Charas was out a lot of preseason with an injury. He didn't play the last game. I watched an interview with Porter, and he was obviously not real upfront with whether or not Chara was going to play.
Mm-hmm.
As coaches are known to do, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, they got a lot of injuries there in the midfield. They brought in Nat, right, to fix their defense. What do you think about that? How do you think he's going to partner with Ridgewell?
I think Nat's going to do great up there, just because he's pretty much playing the same position that he was going to be here. He's just got to play in the center of their defense. Same amount of guys. Not sure about if the talent's the same. In some spots, I'd say it's better. Some spots worse. But he's just got to pretty much step in there and be what he was for us, and be a defender and be a leader in that back line, because a lot of their problems, especially down the stretch, is they had no leader back there. And I know having a guy like that sitting up front, it's going to do wonders for their goalkeepers.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, when they brought Ridgewell in, he was supposed to be like the savior, right, of their defense.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's the Premier League veteran and all this stuff. It'll be interesting to see who really takes that leadership role, if Nat's more vocal, or if Ridgewell's more vocal, and kind of how they decide to organize back there. When I would watch the Portland games last year, it seemed like Ridgewell, I mean, I think he's a good defender, but he made lots of I call it interesting decisions, I guess, with defending
Yeah.
that would cause them problems. So I don't think he's as strong a defender as Schuler. So it'll be interesting to see how he partners with Nat.
Hmm. And nobody wanted to get rid of Nat, but I think that this was the perfect time to get rid of Nat, just only because you saw last year Schuler take that step, and you knew what he was evolving and becoming that better player, and so this was the time to let him take over this defense. Nobody wanted Nat to go, but I think this was the time to actually do it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they kept talking about Schuler being kind of Nat's replacement, right, when the time came. And like you said, last year is probably, I guess it's the old, the Belichick rule, right, from the Patriots. You like to get rid of guys 1 year early than 1 year late. So.
Yep.
You know.
Which is kind of shocking how we brought back Olave though.
Right. Saying that, then we bring back Olave. So.
Yeah. But I honestly think that will be a lot better because Schuler's going to pretty much take over that Nat role, and Olave can pretty much play that Schuler role where he doesn't have to be vocal, he doesn't have to be that leader, he's just got to play. He's older, but in New York he was playing on that hard turf, where here he gets to play on that nice natural grass and not tear his knees up.
Yeah, I'm excited to see, have Olave back. It's always fun watching him crush guys unless he was playing RSL.
Yeah.
Even being, I don't know, how old is he now? 30?
Olave is
30-something.
33.
33?
Yep.
He's still crazy fast, so,
Mm-hmm.
He may not be as spry as he once was, but he's still plenty fast to chase down most anybody. So.
Yep.
So that'll be fun to have him back, and hopefully his knees will last a few more years.
Did you by chance last year was able to go to the Club Tijuana game?
I think I was out of town that game, so I didn't see that one.
Mm-hmm. I know. I was there. I actually was able to make that game, and something that stood out was we actually have a defender who's he's 19 right now, and Justin Glad.
Oh yeah, right.
And that kid was playing outstanding, and I remember looking when I got home. I was looking at interviews and listening to him and everything, and how much Nat and Schuler talked about how he was the future and how he was the best defenders to ever come out of their program.
Yeah.
And so as long as what they say is true, Olave's your oldest defender, but your next oldest is 27, Schuler and Beltran. You got a really young defense, and it's all built for the future, and they're all ready to go now.
Yeah, I think whoever ends up going to the Monarchs, whether it's Glad or Kavita,
Mm-hmm.
or our draft pick Okwanu,
Yep.
Boyd Okwanu, or who was the other one I was looking at? There's one other one. Anyway, whoever goes to the Monarchs, they're going to get really good game experience, and all those guys I think should be really, really good pros. So it's an exciting future for us.
Mm-hmm. So what's your guess with Portland game, though?
Yeah, sorry, we kind of got off track there. Back to Portland, they have a new goalie as well, new keeper. So it's interesting to see how that back line, how they all coordinate with the new center back partnership and a new goalkeeper partnership. I think having Olave and Schuler back there, their striker Audi, big strong dude. I think those two can handle Audi pretty well. I think the key really is going to be who tracks Nagbe and Rodney Wallace, right, from the wings. If we can make sure we keep those two under control, I think we should not have an easy time, but I think we should be able to come out of there with a win for sure.
Mhm.
What do
Yeah,
you?
and I have to agree. I mean, I'm looking over their preseason stuff right now, and they're not exactly. I mean, they've went down and played in the desert friendlies. I mean, they beat Sporting KC, but tied Houston, tied San Jose, tied Chicago, Vancouver. I mean, they're not exactly, and it's all like 1-0. To me, it looks like they don't have any score going opportunities or anything like that. So I think with our defense, knowing the way they do play, we might be able to sneak in there and sneak out and start the season the way we always want it to.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see with the CBA talks going on right now. Which I guess we'll talk about more in a minute. But we have several players who are there with the CBA talks, and Portland has some players there, right?
Yep.
Beckerman and Ramondo, I think, are gone. So it'll be interesting to see this first weekend how that affects all the teams with, having, two or three star players, pretty much not practicing all week because they're back east doing CBA talks.
Yeah, and it might not even turn into a non-issue thing because that CBA doesn't get taken care of. You have to. Games are going to be canceled. Players will go on strike.
Yeah, and the players, at least on social media, seem to put out the front that they're committed to striking, right? And
Hmm.
I think they have to in their position, right?
Yeah,
Um,
only because I think the asking price to come into this league is so high, and they just had two teams come in, and they talk, and Don Garber sits there and talks about how much money the league's making and everything like that. And then the minute the players turn around and say, "Well, if you're making so much money, why don't we get a share of it?" Well, now we're losing money,
yeah,
and so the players just got to do what's right for them. And if that's means strike, that strike then.
yeah. I don't know all of the league's arguments. I mean, it's been really interesting to me on the CBA about how vocal the players have been, right, on social media and
Hmm.
agents and different things. All the national people. I mean, pretty much everybody is on the players' side. It seems like, right? Uh,
Hmm.
I mean, with all the reports and stuff, with Deloy being the only one who has said anything, and he got himself a fine, right, for
Yeah.
saying something fairly benign. But it's just interesting to see kind of the PR battle, how the owners and MLS don't care at all, right, about
Hmm.
publicizing anything. And so it's hard to know exactly what their stance is. I mean, you get little trickles here and there, and they say that owners buy in to the single entity, right? And they come into the league understanding it's going to operate under a certain set of rules, and free agency pretty much changes, most of that, right?
Yep.
So, from us in a certain way, you can understand the owner's perspective of this is what they kind of signed on for, right? And they want to preserve that. But then the players, obviously, they want to choose where they work. So uh, it will all come down to who's willing to concede more, I guess, right?
Yeah. So I'm assuming you're on the player side. You want a free agency.
I I'm probably less on the player side than most people. I do think that some sort of free agency is uh, right, and the player should get it. But
Hmm.
I certainly don't want like just unrestricted free agency, right? Just as soon as you come into the league, you can just go wherever you want.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely needs to be some sort of balance. And the thing I'm more concerned about, I mean, if you're on a team and your team is willing to pay you your contract and they want you on your team, I mean, in a way, I'm like, then you should play on that team. But it's all these players that like they don't get their contracts renewed and they don't get picked up in a draft and right?
Yeah. I like uh I like an idea that was thrown out that I mean it's better than the option they have thrown out right now. I mean the first one was what 10 years in the league and you had to been at least 30 or something stupid like that and only one player was eligible for that.
Yeah, yeah.
And now you got to be 28 and 8 years in the league, and it doesn't have to all be with the same team. And even like we was discussing earlier, Javier's been in the league since 2007. Javier wouldn't be able to be a free agent until the end of this year.
Yeah.
It, it's guys that's been there that long was, and you can tell me your opinion afterwards. Is you set it up as, and it's more or less for guys that are leaving your clubs, but it's a restricted free agent type thing. Whereas, and I'll just use like Louis Gill for example. Louis Gill becomes a free agent at the end of the year, and Colorado offers him a contract. Well, he can go to Colorado, but Real has a 7-day window where they can either send him a matching offer or a higher offer, but no higher than 10% a year. And that allows Gill the ability to decide where he wants to go. And it also allows Arsenal the chance to bring back their players and sign back their players and figure out what value is. So they're not, Gill goes off to the first club he can and signs with them and never gets a chance to lose them.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. And one thing I was reading that got me thinking was, all these players that are on minimum salary, right? There probably should be some sort of exception to that 10% rule where if you're making the minimum, if you're making 34 grand a year or 45 grand a year, if another team wants to pay you 100 grand, right? I mean, that's if you're only getting a 10% bump, that's nothing, right? On 40 grand a year. So if Colorado wanted to take one of our minimum players and pay him 100 grand, if we didn't want to match that, then we should, he should be able to go there. But I think there should be some threshold of, once you're making 100 grand or 150 or something, then, your idea, I think that'd be fine.
Yeah, and it also needs to, especially like the rookies and those new guys coming in. They're only making 34,000 a year.
Yeah.
Whereas if they go the NBA draft and they're the last pick in the first round, they make 952,000.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see more than free agency what they do with everything else. What are they doing with the salary cap limit? What are they doing with minimum salary? What are they going to do with the number of DP slots a team has, right?
Yeah.
Are we going to go to 5 DPs or, we're going to make the minimum 75 grand? All these things are they're kind of interconnected with the free agency argument, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least to me they are.
Yeah, and the salary is 226,000, but if you break it down and take out like Kaká's salary, he's 7.2 million. The median's really around, guys are only making 92,000. If you took all the players' numbers they made for this coming year, Kaká represents almost 6% of that entire compensation. So it shows you kind of where the disparity is and how guys aren't getting paid.
Yeah, I think for sure they need to raise the minimum salary a lot, but to do that you have to raise the cap a lot. And I just don't know how much the owners are willing to, increase it, which is funny because, instead of paying Kaká 7 million a year or whatever he's making, you pay him 5 and give the whole team a $2 million salary cap increase, right?
Yeah.
And that's a huge boost to everybody else on the team.
Yeah. And it's not going to help these guys making less money anymore. There's rumors of Klose and SN, Samuel Eto'o all wanting to come to MLS when their contracts are up, and when they come, they're not going to come looking for that, 34,000 a year. They're going to want that $6-7 million a year pay.
Yeah, we've not set a good precedence with what we're willing to pay, Josie Altidore, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, our national guys are coming back, and they're getting paid, but they're still kind of in their prime. But some of these international guys, you kind of get the feeling, or at least I do, that they're kind of seeing MLS as that one last payday before they can hang him up.
Yeah, if you think about it, like you read stories about Drogba or some of these guys going to play in China or Australia or different countries, and you're like, oh, they're just getting a payday. And I'm sure a lot of other countries think that same way about when they come to MLS, even though we don't like to think of it that way.
Yeah. So, but hopefully they get something put in place. My guess is if you don't hear anything by what do you assume, Thursday at their latest, that they'll probably start shutting things down.
Yeah, I would even guess by tomorrow night, if they don't have something worked out. Sorry, that would be what, Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Thursday morning. If there's not something worked out, then probably the first weekend is not happening.
Yeah, I mean, first game is scheduled for Friday night.
Yeah, I think
LA and Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago's got to fly out to LA.
And is it kind of weird that like MLS acts like it's business as usual? Just here's all the new uniforms, here's all our stadium plans, here's the schedule, and like even on their website they do not discuss the CBA at all. Like they ignore it all.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you don't talk about it, it's not real, right?
Yeah.
Let's just push it under the rug.
Yeah, they act like it's business as usual.
Yeah, maybe it'll go away if we don't talk about it. Maybe they could get one of the MLS writers to write a story on it.
Yeah, or we can just keep following guys like Twitter. He tells us everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm really curious. I don't know, I think before today, I thought that there was probably, 80% chance or so that there would be a strike, right? That because the owners, I thought there was no chance they were going to do free agency. Then based on comments coming out today, it seems like the owners are at least willing to talk about it, which I think is a huge concession just in and of itself, even though so far none of the things coming out are good, like what the players would want. One tangent real quick. Something that really made me mad, irritated today on Twitter is it's like nobody's ever been in a negotiation before, right?
Yeah.
Like they came out with a 30-year-old, 10-year thing, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, this is like the end of the world, and the owners are idiots and stuff. I'm like, well, you got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
I mean, clearly they aren't going to say, well, let's just start at unlimited free agency. You got to start at some point, and that just happened to be the point that some journalists got information on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it just made me laugh that everyone was freaking out about it.
Yeah, like that old thing on Futurama when they want to negotiate with the aliens and they ask for all the things they really want and then tell them in the end that they also want to eat their children, and tells them you got to start somewhere and with something you're willing to take out of the negotiations.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you always start, you give them a little teeny crumb, but far away, and then you work your way in. I mean, it's like buying a car.
You got to start somewhere.
You don't just walk in and pay the sticker price.
So, all right. I think that wraps it up. Is there anything else you wanted to jump on before we finish up here?
No? Do you want to, if we have a game on Saturday, do you want to do a score prediction or no?
I say if there is a game, we win 2-0.
Yeah. I guess I can't go with 2-0. You already took it. I think we get the shutout, so then I guess I better go 3-0 because we're going to score more than one. So
yeah, team's looking impressive already.
Yeah, so I'm excited for the season. Hopefully, our season tickets. I get my season tickets here soon. But
yeah, and I've seen pictures of them. They look nice.
Yeah, I'm excited. It'd be great.
Sweet. So I think we got tonight. I'm Brett. That's Rich, and hopefully we can get you back in here sometime.
Yeah, hopefully I get invited back since there's no one else on the list.
Yeah, that very long list. For the longest time, I mean, I didn't wear the shirt tonight, but it was me and Darkwing Duck hanging out. So.
All right, thanks for listening, guys.
Hey, thanks, guys, and we'll talk to you guys later.